There was a pomposity and an arrogance and a narcissism. I liked that I had a monkey, not a parrot. Everything felt like we were creating surprises for people.
Perfect. I didn't even think of that. The monkey makes it so much more badass than a parrot.
Right?
Parrot makes it like old school pirate. This is a new glam rock pirate.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Costume Podcast. I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass.
And I am Captain Spencer Williams. Ahoy, Elizabeth.
Ahoy, Spencer.
Before, on my way over to the studio, I was really debating looking up like every pirate word possible and just doing this episode in pirate lingo. But I figured either A, you would kill me, or B, I would probably fail at it pretty quickly. Actually, probably both, really.
I would leave this Zoom so quickly. You would have gotten like halfway through one sentence of kind of pirate talk, and it would just been like, guest has left.
Right. Like, gar, Elizabeth, want to talk some costumes? Gar, something like that. No.
Yeah.
Not even a warm-up. Okay.
No.
Hey, Elizabeth, how are you?
Hi, Spencer. I'm out here getting through it.
You're getting through it. It's hot.
Getting through it. It's hot. There's too much going on. There's not enough going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird time. It's a weird time.
I get it. I feel like my good old friend anxiety has just been clinging on to me.
Truly.
Like a monkey with a cursed medallion piece of gold, you know? Or
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth, before we get started today, I actually have a very fun announcement.
Oh, do you?
I do. I am so excited to say that the Art of Costume podcast is heading back to San Diego Comic-Con this July for the second time in a row. And I couldn't be more excited, Elizabeth. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to be moderating not one, but two panels this time.
Yes.
So
I am so excited for you. I'm so jealous. I want to be there.
We're going to have to get you out next year. That is a goal. I'm putting it out there right now. That's what's going to happen.
Absolutely. It's going to happen. But I'm so excited for you, especially for your first panel. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I am so stoked. So on Thursday, July 25th, I'm going to be moderating a panel called The Secret to the Hunger Games, the Battle of Songbirds and Snakes Costumes, with our good friend, costume designer Trish Somerville, whom I know you're all a huge fan of because you made that message loud and clear when we had that episode come out last year. And Trisha's team will be on the panel as well with her assistant costume designer, two costume concept artists, which I'm super stoked about, and a fabric buyer. So that's going to be a fun conversation.
Oh.
And I'll also be there to support some other panels by our great friends and partners at the Costume Designers Guild. For example, on Friday, July 26th, there will be a panel called Behind the Futuristic Costumes and Netflix's Atlas. That's a new film with Jennifer Lopez. Costume designer Daniel Orlandi will be on that panel, and he'll be moderated by assistant costume designer and my good friend, Ivy Heather Fade. That's going to be so fun. I'm ready to be there.
Yes.
And then the other panel, which I really wish you were here for this one, on Saturday, July 27th, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Characters. Our good friends, Cynthia Summers and Kelsey Chobotar from The Last of Us will be on that panel. Sarah Evelyn, who's been on a podcast as well when she did The Bullet Train, and her assistant costume designer, Annie Lopert. And then, Elizabeth, I'm so excited.
So jealous. I'm so jealous.
Costume designer Wendy Chuck will be there, who you all know did the costumes for Twilight. And I'm just, honestly, they should probably keep me away from her because I'm going to make a fool of myself. I have a lot of questions.
You are.
I'm glad I'm not moderating that panel. That will be Phil Boutte.
You would be like, forget. I know there are some other great designers here, but Wendy Chuck, Twilight.
Right. And she's probably like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I get it. And also,
However, I have questions.
I have questions, and I'm already like, what should I bring for her to sign? Do I need a big like illustration of like a baseball? You and I have to collab on this, figure something out.
You should track down Bella's coat.
The controversial illegal
one. Yeah.
Right? I thought about that too. And also I should mention costume concept artist Gina DiDomenico will be there as well. Excited. I love listening to costume concept artists speak about their work. I think it's so fascinating. And then I haven't announced this one yet as well, but on Sunday, July 28th, I will be moderating another panel, this time with my good friend Jennifer May Nickel, who was just on a podcast a few weeks ago talking about Gotham Knights. We're going to be doing a panel together called From Screen to Cosplay, Making Your Favorite Cosplay with Accuracy. I can't say who's on the panel just yet, but I've seen a list some really fascinating names and designers along with Jennifer and myself. So it's going to be a good time. So I really would love to see some of you costume nerds out there. Come say hi. Let's take a photo. I don't know. Let's talk about our favorite one costumes to rule them all, so on and so forth. Talk about Bridgerton, thruples, whatever you need to do, popcorn updates. I'm ready for it. I'll be there all week and weekend long.
Yes, I am so excited for you, Spencer. And I'm going to guess you're going to be on social media. So the 25th through the 27th, keep an eye out because Spencer is a social media master and knows how to get all the good pics online.
I do. I'm going to have to get a new phone because this phone has a battery life of like 30 minutes. I'm in serious trouble, but we'll figure it out. Very excited, and I can't wait for you to be there next year with me.
Yes, absolutely. And Spencer, just as you're preparing to set sail for an epic Comic-Con weekend, we must continue our journey through Hot Girl Summer.
Yeah.
With, quite frankly, a childhood favorite and just at this point, a classic family film. Spencer, what did we watch this week?
Oh, man. This week, we watched probably, I think, one of the greatest films of all time. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Elizabeth, I rewatched this movie last night. This movie just hits. It just will never get old to me.
It will never get old. And it's like, it's my favorite of all of them. It's my favorite. It's just like, it's fun for the whole family. It takes you back to a time like
a simpler time.
A simpler time. I was like doing the research and I was like, oh my gosh, 2003. Like literally Orlando Bloom was in 2 blockbuster franchises back to back.
Yeah. Oh man, Orlando Bloom was on fire at this time.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He was in all the big movies.
And Keira Knightley was quite newish at this point. I mean, she did some things, but I believe this was even before Pride and Prejudice, I believe.
This is probably her first like big role. She had been in she's in Star Wars Episode 1.
Right. Yes, I remember looking this up last night because I looked at that picture of her next to Queen Amidala, which is really funny to me every time I see that scene.
So, yeah. No, I should say this is like the first big film she's in that people actually remember she's in.
Right.
Because she just looks like it took me like forever to even realize like that was her.
Yeah. In The Phantom Menace. I mean, that's the whole point. They want her to look like Queen Amidala in case someone, unalives her.
Yeah. And I'm just like, when you put her and Natalie Portman next to each other, they do not look alike.
No.
But in that makeup, like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole deep dive we're going to have to get into maybe next season when we have to switch up our Star Wars. Anyways, I love Pirates of the Caribbean. I've just been a diehard pirate fan. Like I remember growing up, I used to wear this really tacky shirt that said, I literally asked my best friend Chris this the other day because I know he made fun of this shirt growing up. I think it said like something like "Kiss Me, I'm a Pirate." It was really goofy and it had like a cartoon pirate on it. It said something to that ilk. It might even said something about booty. I don't know, but I know, very cringy. I've just been like, I love pirates. I love pirate lore. I love these pirate movies. And I think, the second film, the third film, they're all also super amazing films. You kind of get to see like the beginning of like brilliant visual effects in Pirates of the Caribbean as well. Like this is where you could really pinpoint like a notable shift in the industry, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely, you get to see like the evolution through the movies, because I think the last one was like in 2017, right?
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think I've seen the fifth one. I saw the fourth one, but the fifth one, I was like, I don't know, man. But these first three were like Bible to me. I mean, I had posters of all the different pirates in like my bedroom closet space, and I had the video games. This was like the first movie I wasn't even allowed to watch it at first because it was too much of a horror movie. So I remember when I finally got to watch Pirates of the Caribbean, which this is totally misguided because I had seen way worse before. I think my parents just wanted some alone time. But like, I just love this movie and I could go on and on about it.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I love this movie too. I remember because I've always had like this thing where I don't ever want to wear a shirt with somebody else's face on it. So I remember being so excited at the time. I don't know where I found this shirt. I think it was like at Kohl's or something, but it was like Pirates of the Caribbean themed, but it didn't have anybody's face on it. It was like a big like ship illustration of a ship, and I was like so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, I can wear a movie shirt, but it's not a movie shirt, so I won't be like everybody else.
Wow. It's such high standards.
Such high standards.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, should we get to it and give everyone a little summary in case they forgot the Curse of the Black Pearl?
Absolutely. Go for it, Spencer.
Captain Jack Sparrow arrives at Port Royal in the Caribbean without a ship or crew. His timing is inopportune, however, because later that evening, the town is besieged by a pirate ship. The pirates kidnap the governor's daughter, Elizabeth, who's in possession of a valuable coin that is linked to a curse that has transformed the pirates into the undead. A gallant blacksmith in love with Elizabeth allies with Sparrow in the pursuit of the pirates, and that is the Curse of the Black Pearl.
If you have not seen The Curse of the Black Pearl, get Disney Plus.
Yeah.
If you have a DVD player, go to your local library. You can rent it for like $1 probably.
Seriously, I mean, if someone were to say that to me in real life, I feel like I'd have to square up. I'm like, what do you mean you haven't seen Curse of the Black Pearl?
Especially someone like our age, I was like, this was like one of the movies like parents, I feel like, put on and was like, stay here.
I'm gonna go.
And like they knew we would not walk away from The Curse of the Black Pearl. And just to figure out who brought this magic to us, let's go behind the costumes with director Gore Verbinski and costume designer Penny Rose. You will know her work from Mission Impossible in 1996, Evita, for which she got a BAFTA Award nomination, The Parent Trap from 1988, another childhood classic, King Arthur from 2004, The Pacific, for which she got an Emmy nomination and a Costume Designer Guild nomination, 47 Ronin, Men in Black International, and Penny Rose has been the costume designer on all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Wow.
Receiving a Costume Designer Guild nomination for The Curse of the Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, At World's End, On Stranger Tides, and a BAFTA nomination for The Curse of the Black Pearl and Dead Man's Chest.
Wow, she got CDG nominations for almost all of her pirate films.
Pretty much.
That
I
is
think 4 of the
crazy.
5 is wild.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love that. I didn't realize that she continued on with 4 and 5 also, because I felt like there was a big amount of time between 3 and 4. So, good for you, Penny Rose. If you are available, our office is open. I would love to talk.
Oh, yeah. We will just talk to you about Pirates of the Caribbean as well.
That's fine.
Just all that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes so much sense because there is, I would say, like, wildly excellent continuity in terms of look between all 5 films.
Yeah.
So when I saw she had done all of them, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Especially because you would think, like, at some point, like, another costume designer would have come in. And while costume designers are usually pretty good at, like, keeping core characters, like, in their look, they usually try to, like, add something or, like, give a little bit of a spin to it. But it's like, no, like, characters look the same all throughout these movies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
like
really
Captain Jack
interesting.
never changes.
He doesn't. And I mean, I think it's a bigger point that we'll probably get into in the episode, but you know, they're pirates. They're not changing their outfits all the time unless they pirate it off of you. But like to be a part of this, you know, franchise from beginning to basically the end and like seeing how like it evolves, you know, once you get into Dead Man's Chest, now you're seeing a lot of CGI working with the costumes and Davy Jones and like, can you just imagine? And then you get into the third one and then you're seeing all these pirates from all these different parts of the world. And
yeah,
what an exciting project. That is really cool.
It is so good. And one thing I was not expecting for us to discover was the amount of research she did for Pirates of the Caribbean. In the book, The Art of Disney Costuming, they describe Rose's process, saying, Rose visited maritime museums, portrait galleries, and other resources in order to learn about the culture and the raiment of the period. I spent 3 weeks just absorbing ideas, she says. She also consulted British pirate expert David Quordling, author of such books as Under the Black Flag, The Romanticism and Reality of Life Among the Pirates. She said, the costumes are constructed absolutely authentically. There are no modern gimmicks within them. You'll find no zippers or Velcro on these costumes, which is wild. You also want to know what is wild, Spencer? And the behind the scenes for the DVD extras, Penny says she had 900 pieces created for this film.
Wow. That's a lot, especially for, was this 2003? That's a lot of detail for something like what you would think as just like a simple Disney movie. There was nothing simple about this.
No. Although this, I wish I'd looked up a budget. I didn't think of it because I think this was Disney's first movie based off of a ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have a feeling they probably gave it like a hefty budget. They were like, you got to make this work.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine the pressure of that to bring, I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean is like everyone's favorite ride at Disneyland, Disney World. At least it's my number, it switches. It's my number 1 or number 2, depending on what time of the year it is. And I mean, it's because that ride is so immersive and also is like Walt Disney's like, you know, dream to make this experience that feels immersive, and it didn't feel like, you know, it felt like a authentic representation of the time and the storytelling. So for these costumes to really just kind of immerse yourself in this world, I think that really was the goal. And as you said, the continuity between all the films remains, and it just builds on top of itself, and it never feels too caricature-y. It just felt real and authentic the whole time, which I appreciate.
Absolutely. And Spencer, after this break, are you ready to jump into Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl?
I'm ready. I'm going to go drink some orange juice or whatever to prevent ourselves from getting scurvy as they do in the high seas. And I'm ready to go.
Everyone, we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Dan, audio engineer of the podcast, here to let you know that if you wanted to support the show, you can head over to theartofcostume.com/podstore. There you can buy some awesome TeePublic merch with the podcast logo, such as a shirt, coffee mug, stickers, and of course, a baby onesie. Thanks for all your support.
Elizabeth, you know my favorite place to visit this time of year is?
The Caribbean.
I was going to say Port Royal, but you're on the right path. Yeah, let's head on over to Port Royal to check in on this lovely little town that doesn't realize it's in for a very long night. But
oh, yeah.
Before we get there, we really get this a good look at the maritime, like naval costumes that we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
It is so impressive. I'm like, okay, that's where like a lot of this 900 costumes was coming from, because they're super authentic.
This was executed very well. I love seeing the Commodore Norrington, or as he's about to become, seeing his uniform. It looks like it was pulled from a museum to me.
Absolutely. I also love how you get to see like the different like stages of his uniform, whether it's like super formal for like, you know, the whole ceremony where he gets promoted, or just like his day to day, still too fancy, but still appropriate for battle, apparently. Uniform. Like it's a great, it really shows like the variation that there was in these uniforms.
Yeah.
I also really love Elizabeth's father is just an excellent example of Baroque era dress and hairstyling. Because I always forget for some reason, like maybe this is my American brain. I'm always like, oh, this is like mid to late 1700s. Because like American Revolution movies, like we see like red coats all the time. They look exactly like this. But then I was doing my research. I was like, oh no, wait, this is like the early 1700s.
Right.
And it's like her dad is what puts you there.
Yeah, he takes you all the way back. The wig, Elizabeth, the wig is...
The wig.
Elizabeth and I were talking about the wig before we were recording today. I want that wig. It is huge.
Right?
It's kind of like a judge's wig. Oh man, it's everything. I want it.
Yeah. It's like a judge's wig, but like clearly for the day to day.
Yeah. And I just love how it still makes me laugh every time I see one of these wigs, because they clearly just take it off. I mean, you see him without it toward the end of the film, and it frightens me every time. Elizabeth asked why I wasn't wearing my white powdered wig from our previous episodes, and I sadly have to say that it has not been in great condition since we abused it for the Great episode, and we're for another episode. I don't remember.
You did. I don't
Hamilton,
remember which
perhaps?
one. I think Hamilton, yeah.
I think next year we need to invest in new powdered wigs for the podcast studio. Maybe
Probably.
if we do like Dead Man's Chest or something.
Yeah. We should get these though.
Yeah. Oh no. If we're going to get new ones, we're upgrading.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're going to look like Elizabeth's father.
Can you imagine? I love this. But yeah, I love seeing all of the military costumes. It's really cool.
What's also really cool is seeing the effects of Elizabeth's corset and how costume plays right into the plot of this film.
This is our favorite thing. I love when costumes play a role in the film. This is like up Miner's alley so hard.
Yeah.
She even says one point, one of my favorite lines is when she smashes that pirate in the face with an oar. And she says, like, you like pain? Try wearing a corset. I was like, yeah, that needs to be a t-shirt.
It does. And I think it's so funny because clearly this is just like a new style of corset probably for her.
Yeah.
She was probably wearing like just something way looser before. And she's just clearly like so uncomfortable.
She is suffering the entire first 5 to 10 minutes.
She is so suffering. And I'm like, Commodore Norrington, did you not see that this woman was about to pass out?
No, well,
like,
he's very self-obsessed. He thought she was getting ready to pass out
true.
over him, which I was like, come on, dude.
And I'm just like, back in that day, though, with what women were wearing, having them walk up to ledges, not a great idea in general, yeah. I feel like.
No, Elizabeth, this was the other Elizabeth. This was a very poor choice of yours to stand on that ledge. However, you looked incredible, though, when you fell off that ledge. I mean, that was a beautiful gown. Oh, yeah. And fun fact, this is the first thing in high school that anyone ever commissioned me to make a cosplay of. No way. Yeah. I did not know this. I went to high school with this girl who was like obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean. Like this girl, I hadn't heard of like bounding. Mm-hmm. Like she Disney bound every single day. In 2003? That's crazy. This was like probably like the early 2010s. Oh, okay. She had just like the clothes for it. Like she was into it, and I was like, you go, girl. I get it. I mean, it's an incredible costume, and I'm sure many people resonate with that first costume and the corset. I mean, I could watch that scene forever. That was some good stuff. Same. You know what I could also watch forever? Captain Jack Sparrow. The moment he sinks his ship up to the dock of Port Royal. That'll never not be funny to me. It will never not be funny. Like the way comedy was done in this movie was brilliant, as was the look of Captain Jack Sparrow, which Rose drew inspiration from the illustrations of Howard Ply and from Depp's inspiration for the character Keith Richards, which when you see Keith Richards next to a Howard Ply illustration, it makes sense. Yeah, it works perfectly. And just realizing now, Keith Richards is in the third film, which is pretty fantastic. He's like Jack Sparrow's father or something weird, isn't he? Your father or mentor. They look very similar. I gotta go back and watch it. But I remember seeing Keith Richards in the third one, and I was like, got it. That's what I want to be when I grow up. Like, are you kidding? He's so cool. But yeah, like the thing about the pirates in this film, especially Jack Sparrow, and when we get into Barbossa, there's like a rock and roll quality to them. It just feels very like, I don't know, kind of pop, kind of rock with like the guy liner going on, and just there's a sultriness to them, and I see that in Jack Sparrow. Absolutely. And at the time, the extraordinary way Penny Rose depicted these characters did not go unnoticed. Film critic Stephanie Zacharek said, in case you think costume designer Penny Rose went totally overboard on Depp's outfit, note that its zaniness has at least some historical foundation. In his rip-roaring study of real-life 17th century pirate William Kidd, the pirate hunter Richard Zack explains that pirates often went about in outlandish outfits they concocted themselves from plundered fabrics. They were also known to totter about in fancy, ill-fitting shoes, also stolen. In the pirate world, vanity trumped comfort. Yeah. This is why I want to be a pirate. Gosh. If only, because then we have Barbossa. I love Barbossa. Jeffrey Rush is perfect as this character. I cannot imagine anyone else playing them. And this is one of my favorite costumes as well, because again, I love the rock and roll nature of this character, especially the hat. Like the hat is stupid cool. I could watch this performance all day long. It is so good. Absolutely. And the art of Disney costuming quotes actor Jeffrey Rush saying about his character, someone like Barbossa, I looked at what his qualities are.
He was described in the first film as spat out of the mouth of hell. And I thought, wow, whenever you enter this film, you've got to bring that on. And Penny Rose had given me a very flamboyant outfit. I was like a glam rock star from another era.
Yeah.
There was a pomposity and an arrogance and a narcissism. I liked that I had a monkey, not a parrot. Everything felt like we were creating surprises for people.
Perfect.
Like,
I didn't even think of that. The monkey makes it so much more badass than a parrot.
Right?
Parrot makes it like old school pirate. This is a new glam rock pirate.
Pirate is like a kid's book, like pirate ABCs, and there's like a little parrot with like a little hat. No, not this film.
This isn't Pollywonka Cracker. This is an undead monkey that will blow your cover anytime you're trying to sneak on someone's ship.
Anytime. And like the thing that makes Barbossa's outfit, which is brought back to time and time again throughout the movies, is his hats.
Yes.
And Rush said that it's the hat ultimately. We discovered in the very first costume fitting, the moment the hat came off, the character kind of disappeared. That's the brain. That's the vanity and elegance that he thinks he's presenting, the superiority.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, the hat really does make it because it's big and it just kind of like offsets like the direction of the costume just that much. Mm-hmm. And I want to say there's a moment in like the fourth film or something where you see him without the hat for a little bit. And even then you're like, oh, like really like Barbossa's had a fall from grace here. So the hat,
I think
it's like he's
wearing like a wig or something. Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's in charge when that hat is on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go get a hat like this after this,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And quite frankly, when you have a crew like that of the Black Pearl, you need something to make you stand out because everyone has a distinct style on that ship.
Yeah, what a cast of characters on that boat.
Truly. And director Gore Verbinski talked about how he wanted the pirates to look in the art of Disney costuming, saying, I didn't want these pirates to look similar to what we've seen before. In reading about that period, it's clear that people didn't live very long. They were essentially rotting away. Ships leaked. There was nothing in the way of medical attention and not a lot of personal hygiene. Things were pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
And like, absolutely. Absolutely. They do look like they're riding away.
They do. You could tell the ceilings are leaky. There's just a lot of water, bad hygiene, not a lot of toothbrushing. That's why they dress so much like characters, because they only have a short time. So might as well live it up in your big glam rock star life.
They're definitely, we're here for a good time, not a long time kind of people.
Yeah, totally.
I love them, especially the two they kind of focus in on, Pintle and Regretti. That like we see, these are the two crew members we get to see the most close up. And they're just disgusting.
They are disgusting, yet they become such like a cursor for storytelling for us throughout like all the films, which is hilarious.
And it's like their teeth are so disgusting. And in the behind the scenes, I was watching some of like the makeup ones. They did vacuum formed molds of everybody's teeth, and everyone's just wearing false teeth in this movie.
Nice. I like it. Commit to the bit.
They committed to the bit. They were also like, we don't have to worry about going in and making sure everybody's teeth look disgusting. And it just like, it's one of those things that adds to it. Also, like a lot of them are like wearing contacts to like give their eyes that like yellowy tinge.
Wow.
It's just like top to bottom perfect.
I was wondering about that because I did notice the yellow tint in a lot of their eyes. And I was like, wow, they really did great with the casting, I guess. But, you know, I feel like why this works so well, just Pirates of the Caribbean could have went so wrong. Because when you think of like other pirate movies, like, I don't know, like a Peter Pan or something, like you think of like a big red coat with a peg leg, a parrot, and like a big old black cat that has like a skull and crossbones on it. And that's just, it doesn't look like that ever crossed Penny Rose's mind or Gore Verbinski.
No.
Like it just felt very much like, let's go to the research and create like a real depiction of what things look like. Sure, there's some elements that we like, you know, it's still a Disney film, so we're going to have some fun with it. Yeah. But this felt, I mean, it felt very real. It almost felt like it was based off of photographs, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I imagine they're going like, we're going to make a film that looks and feels like very grounded in history, but like add a little like magic fantasy to it.
Yeah, a little flair.
Just like a little, like Tinkerbell came around and was like, here's some fairy dust.
Right.
I don't know where you want to use it. You decide.
It all went to Barbossa's hat. That's where it went.
All of it. And the excellent CGI.
Yeah.
Oh, this holds up. Like, we've definitely gotten better, but this feels right in like the context of the movie.
This is like the direct like successor of The Mummy, which we just talked about not too long ago. Like, I just feel like these visual effects were like breathtaking in a way that like you could feel the shift in the industry. To me, it still holds up. I just watched it last night. I love watching them like transition from their, you know, alive form to their undead form. Well, I think one of my favorite parts is that moment where Jack Sparrow moves the coin between his like skeleton fingers toward the end. Like, that's crazy. Or when they're drinking and you see it like go through their chest. It really is insane. And I would love to talk to Penny Rose about the costumes they were wearing and like how much of that was CGI and how much wasn't.
I was watching the CGI behind the scenes a little bit earlier, and like the amount of work that went into making it, because they did it like fully with the actors on the set, everyone just like in their normal like pirate-ness.
Wow.
They did motion capture, and then they did the, you know, animated versions of everyone and layered that all together.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, the work that went into that. And like, yeah, definitely. If you told me all the people who worked on The Mummy had spent the last like several years
just preparing
and working on how to make better like skeleton zombies, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
This definitely has a very like mummy feel to it.
Yeah. I mean, in 2003, this really hadn't been done before. I mean, I'm sure there's other examples that people will probably point to in the comments like, oh, well, they did better CGI. Blah. This to me, like, I'll always remember seeing this for the first time and just how real it felt and how scary it felt. Honestly, it's terrifying.
Yeah. This did like give me the creeps as a kid. It still gives me the creeps today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it just works.
But it's so cool. I mean, gosh, if I found Cortez's treasure and I just had to take one piece of gold, Elizabeth, I'd be all about that.
But like, you can't eat or like feel anything. They said food turned to ash in their mouths.
I don't know.
I feel like
I'll put it on.
I feel like you would take. You would have no. This is I can see this. You and you should be like, let's go get some of Cortez's treasure, and you would each take a piece, and then you'd be like, let's go have brunch, and then be like, oh no, we gotta go back.
I'm just saying, let me try it out first. A trial period, at least.
I would be so mad sailing the ship with you all back to take that treasure back. I'd be like, I told you.
But like the part where they're walking at the bottom of the ocean,
that's cool.
It's so exciting to me. Like I'm just jumping up and down at that scene every time.
Maybe if we like anchored the ship there, took some gold, played around as like skeletons for a little bit, and then put it back.
Right.
With our blood sacrifice.
I'll put it back until one day when you walk out in moonlight and you're like, uh-oh.
Spencer. What'd you do?
Oh, yeah. So much fun.
So much fun. You know what's also fun, Spencer? Orlando Bloom.
Oh man, the Orlando Bloom crush at this time. It's just, I mean, he had the world in a chokehold at this moment.
He did. This film cemented my childhood crush on this man. He was my Hollywood crush. I was obsessed with him.
Who wasn't? He just did a Legolas and Lord of the Rings, and then he said, you know what? I'm going in for another round. And Will Turner, he kills it. He's so great in this film.
He is. And it's because he's so simply dressed in this.
Yeah.
It is literally like pants, a flowy shirt, and a vest.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing special in particular is going on here.
No.
But the way Orlando Bloom works it.
Oh, yeah. The big open
incredible
neckline. You just see the chest with the necklace, right? Everything is very intentional with this character. He looks like a typical pirate hero to me, and it works.
Like 10-year-old me was like, yes.
I need one of those. Where did I get one? Yeah, I get that. And like he also like just came off of Lord of the Rings, right? So he takes off the blonde wig and he gets to have like this brown luscious hair with the goatee and the mustache. I mean, he had everything going for him in this moment. He had the
everything
world
going for him. Because Lord of the Rings, I was like, oh, hi, Legolas. And then Pirates of the Caribbean, I was like, oh, who is this?
Yeah, I mean, Legolas was like the hidden secret, and in Black Pearl, it's like the gates were wide open at that point. He was fair game for every little girl at Disneyland, or, like it was just everyone had Orlando Bloom on the list.
Absolutely.
But just to say to the costume also, I think the textile on the vest is really interesting.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful.
Yeah, like Penny Rose didn't have to do much for his costume, but she still took the time to, and her team, of course, like put together this really fascinating textile that just brought like an age to him, and felt period appropriate. And, it's just like a great texture. He doesn't change a lot, but no one in this film changes a lot. Definitely,
like what his costume does is highlight him as an individual. It's not trying to give him, and like Jack Sparrow, Barbossa, their costumes are part of what give them personality. This, it's just like Will Turner is Will Turner. We just need to highlight that.
And even though he is a pirate, he's not a pirate, and he's trying to believe he's not a pirate. So you kind of see that conflict.
He's a good pirate.
Yeah.
He's a good pirate.
He's a good pirate, not a bad pirate. Even though Elizabeth wishes he could be a bad pirate.
But Mom, he's a good pirate.
Yeah. Which is actually the dialogue that Elizabeth Swann was having through the entire film. We get to see another Elizabeth Swann change, and I had to just sneak this in here because we have been talking about how we've been having a lack of red dresses on the podcast. And then I forgot that Barbossa very creepily makes Elizabeth change into this stunning kind of like scarlet crimson red.
It's like mauve-y.
Yeah.
Like I always thought this was a little more purple, like on screen, but like the pictures you can see that like the red's there.
Yeah, it's definitely has, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny, like it looks different in every single picture.
Yeah.
But it's definitely for all purposes a red dress to talk about on the podcast. I love it. I love that it still feels very Elizabeth Swann in a way, but then it still has like the rock qualities of Captain Barbossa with like the black lace kind of peeking out. It feels kind of, hard rock goth Captain Barbossa. So it's kind of like a blending of the two.
Yeah. I also like, because like earlier her dress, like we were saying before, this is like early 1700s. It's like the Baroque period. But that dress she gets at the beginning, that's definitely like a going into the Rococo period look. But this with like the puff, like not quite bell sleeve, but almost like it's very Baroque. So you can tell like Barbossa stole this who knows how long ago and has just been waiting to give it to somebody.
Oh, yeah. It's been hanging up in his closet, like in case of emergency. If there's a woman on deck, you know what to do.
We got her covered.
Yeah, it's so creepy. But and then it's totally the part where they're kicking everyone off the boat and they're getting ready to put Elizabeth and Jack on the island. And it's a creepy scene because they're ripping the dress off of her because he says he wants the dress back. And you're like, well, I kind of get it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a nice dress.
And also, quite frankly, if she had jumped off, it would have just weighed her down.
Oh, yeah. She would have sunk.
Yeah. That was not something she needed to be wearing jumping into the ocean. But one thing about this that I do really like is how open it is on the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly like just a lack of like, this is a beat up dress. It is not in great condition. But like the way it reveals like all the layers of her clothing, I just think it's like really beautiful and really interesting.
Yeah, very layered. I would love to see this dress in person just to see all the layers to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely a favorite. It's so cool. And I kind of forgot about it until I rewatched this film. So it was great. A place that I've always wanted to visit, Elizabeth, is the island of Tortuga, which is the pirate capital of mischief. And I just have so much fun with the scene every time when we meet Gibbs, where you see all of Jack Sparrow's exes or whatever they are.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's just seeing it's really exciting because we know the ride so much, like we talked about. And this is like the scene where I really feel like we see like the ride come alive, seeing all the just mayhem come onto screen. And the costumes just like really blend into the environment, which sounds crazy for a Disney film about pirates, but it feels real and authentic the entire time.
Absolutely. And it, like you said, it just has an air of fun about it. I especially like the first woman that slaps him.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the people that I'm like, this is such clear inspiration from the ride.
Yeah.
Like she looks like one of those animatronics and it's just so perfect.
It's so fun.
What's also perfect is Zoe Saldana in this movie, who I always forget she's in this.
I always forget until I see her.
Yeah. And I love that she's just like one of the crew.
Yeah, she's a badass. She could be the captain, which I think is really her goal. And she kind of takes that role at times.
Yeah.
Such a badass character. I wish she was in more of it. But as we've come to learn in the past years, that actually Zoe did not have a great time on this film, which was a bummer. I was reading about it a little bit last night. Sounds like it wasn't exactly the dream set, but that's all I really read. But yeah, she's such a badass in this, and it's just crazy to think that this was also like one of her like first big films, and she went on to be like one of the world's
biggest superstars.
Yeah, I mean, she's been in all the biggest films from Avatar to Avengers. She's on fire.
And like, let's be honest, she couldn't be in any more Pirates of the Caribbean movies. She had to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. She had more important things to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was maybe a little far off from Pirates, but still it could have changed the trajectory of her timeline. Yeah. So it all worked out. But Zoe, we love you. You were one of the best parts of this film. So, yeah, and I love that it's just like a classic, like kind of white, dirty shirt that she's wearing too. It's almost like it shows that she isn't afraid to get dirty, but she's also not that dirty because she could kick your ass too. So you can't really lay a hand on her.
It also shows she has like no interest of being a woman of her time and no illusion that she's fitting into that mold. Yeah. Because like, I mean, like all the women are on Tortuga, they're not exactly like the ideal of like what women were supposed to be at the time. They're all just kind of there like forging their own paths.
Yeah.
But she's like, I'm not even gonna put the dress on and look the part. I know who I am, and it's not that.
Yeah. Her love is the high seas and being a pirate, which I mad respect.
Absolutely. I also love how Elizabeth takes charge when her and Jack are on the rum island.
Yeah.
And she's just in her shift making the best of it.
It is so fun to see, and I loved how dirty they get, like seeing Elizabeth shift like soaked and covered in sand, and she's drinking, and you just could feel like how stripped down she feels. And then seeing Jack in like the shorts or whatnot covered in sand also.
Yeah.
And just how committed to these costumes these characters are, and how Jack would never go and change.
No.
You know,
He's
so
just got to take his shoes off.
Yeah, take his shoes off, take his coat off, but still the same outfit. And you could tell that like he sweated through this thing. It's a bit it probably smells, but you know, he washes it off in the ocean sea, and it's such a fun
It's all
scene.
good.
Also, I wish I liked rum. I really would like to, because it's just such a fun scene. We
You
could
don't
have
like
been
rum?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I want to be in this scene when they're partying and dancing around the fire.
Oh yeah, I think she sets the island on fire the next.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite part.
It's
And
so
he's like,
funny.
oh my gosh, she's an idiot. What is she doing? And then she was right the whole time.
Oh
He's
yeah, like 10 minutes later, they're there.
There's no
Commodore
living with her after
Norrington.
this.
Yeah, it's so funny. The comedy in this film is spectacular. It really is.
So spectacular. Even more spectacular. Will's hat at the end of this movie.
Yeah. I think this is the one costume where I feel like I was like, I don't know about this hat. Like, it just feels so like out of place for Will.
Yeah.
But like, you can't help but love it, you know? Like
Absolutely.
he spent like a whole 2 weeks with these glam rock pirates. So
Yeah.
of course he got back to Port Royal and was like, I'm going shopping, yo.
Yeah. He's like, I don't spend any of the meager amount of money this blacksmith pays me. Let me go like do some experimenting. This is Will Turner in his fashion experimental area.
He saw that hat at the hat store and he was like, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That is the answer. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a cavalier a little bit.
Yeah, it's giving Three Musketeers.
Yeah, but it's funny. I like it. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
I don't not like it. It's funny. It just, to me, it just feels like random for Will. But he's dressing up, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm also realizing for the first time, the only new parts of his costume are the cape and the hat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's totally wearing the same vest underneath.
For just those two additions make the whole thing look entirely different.
Right. But who am I to judge? Because he and Elizabeth get together after she sees that hat. So maybe I need to take notes. She saw the hat and was like, damn.
She's like, I know I need a pirate. You might fit the bill now. I wasn't quite sure before.
Oh my gosh. Like that last line she says to her dad. She says something like,
no, he's a pirate.
He's a pirate. And his dad's like, oh, brother. Walks away. I was like, yeah, that's good stuff.
Her dad like kind of does a double take, almost like, are you sure you don't want to marry Norrington?
Yeah. Norrington is such an interesting character. You want to like him, but he's also such a narc. You know?
He is. I mean, he grows on you through the movies. That ridiculous sword fight between the three of them. I don't know if it's in the second or third movie. That's where he really starts to grow on me.
The second movie, the dead man's chest fight.
Yeah. Also, because he has a beard. He's like kind of dirty, and I'm like, ooh, Norrington.
Oh yeah,
you're starting to look good.
That's right up Elizabeth's alley on her scorecard. So, yeah. Oh, it's such a great film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I could watch this movie all day, and I also think I'm going to start Dead Man's Chest tonight because these films scratch like a special part of my brain that nothing else could really touch. Maybe like The Mummy, you know, like they're just perfect.
It's that like childhood nostalgia, and I think it's also like, I think when we're kids, like we don't know why things are good. But like we notice they are, and like they grab your attention. Like Lord of the Rings grabbed my attention. Mummy grabbed my attention as a kid. These movies grabbed my attention the way a lot of other stuff just didn't.
Yeah, I mean, because I think like as a kid, it feels very aspirational, right? Like, of course, like none of us listening to this podcast or on a podcast are pirates, I hope. Unless you are a pirate listening to a podcast, it's kind of cool. I don't know. but
maybe double think what you're doing a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But only legally sound pirating, if there's such a thing.
That was the age of legally sound pirating. They just don't show it in this movie.
Right. But it's just like, as a kid, it feels like aspirational. It just feels like a perfect fantasy story. And you see yourself in these characters a little bit, or the heroism just feels so real. But then as adults too, like they accomplish that. We see that they accomplished that by just the real immersiveness of this film and the research that took and the acting and just like the subtle references that were in it that we would not have got as kids. So
No.
I have like a new appreciation for it now as an adult as well.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely like there are very few things I consider perfect family films.
Mhm.
This is one of them. It's fun and it's simple for kids, but there's so much humor and like in the first movie, you start to see the beginnings of the love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, as a kid, I didn't get. Like,
Elizabeth's like, what's happening? I don't like this.
you don't get it at first. Some of the humor you don't get. But then, like, as an adult, you're like, oh my gosh, this is even more hilarious.
Yeah. I also like how not afraid Disney was to, like, add some darkness to this as well.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they weren't afraid to add some horror or, like, honestly, like, the fight scenes that were kind of, like...
They're intense.
They're stabbing and killing people.
Yeah.
You know? And it even gets darker, I think, once we get into the second, third film. Some interesting moments. Elizabeth, I think we need to whip out our new rating system.
We need to whip out our needle and thread and see how many stitches this movie is.
I like it. I like where your head's at. Elizabeth, how many stitches would you give Parts of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl?
Honestly, it's a 5-stitch movie. This garment is held together. Professionals took extreme care in every single one of these stitches. This is a detailed garment made only by masters, Spencer.
It is. Everyone's wearing a white couture coat building this thing.
Yes. It would take a lot to tear this movie apart.
Oh, yeah. It's museum worthy. It stands up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give it 4.5 stitches out of 5. I'm only docking the 0.5 because of Zoe Saldana's experience.
That's a fair point.
But if she came out...
that should be our official rating. Our official rating is 4.5 stars.
All right. If she came out and said, I actually love this movie and you should give it a 5 stitches, I'll upgrade it. But I feel very confident with a strong 4.5.
4.5. You've heard it here. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl is a 4.5 stitch movie.
Elizabeth, I think we should take a quick break so when we come back, we can play our favorite game.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth, I am so excited to be back from break because that means we get to play our favorite game. We have to pick our favorite swashbuckling one costume that ruled them all. Are you ready?
So ready. Hit it, Daniel. The one costume to rule them all. Spencer, what was your one costume to rule them all?
This was a fun one. Honestly, it could have been really any of them, any of like the core characters, but I just have to go with Captain Barbossa's rock and roll pirate costume with the hat. I just think it's such a cool costume, and it's just like, if I were a pirate, this is what I would want to be. Like, kind of wearing all black, not totally, but you know, mostly dark with the cool gothy hat. It's fun.
I see that for you.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it with a monkey though, because we all know how I feel about monkeys. I'd maybe do, I don't know, like a sea otter or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you'd have a little otter with you. You'd put a little vest on it.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff right there. Elizabeth, what was your one costume to rule them all?
My one costume to rule them all has got to be that of Captain Jack Sparrow's. I mean, Penny Rose, like, created an iconic look right here. Like, this is what we really base our idea of what a pirate is off of now. Like, you see a generic pirate costume, it's probably going to look like a Jack Sparrow costume.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Someone is like, oh, I don't know what to dress up like as a pirate. They're just going to dress up as Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, suddenly they have a red headband on, a little, clothing off the side.
Yeah, some eyeliner. They're there.
I was Captain Jack Sparrow for Halloween maybe 3 or 4 times. Like, I had a costume.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I was committed to this costume and being Jack Sparrow. I don't think I ever painted the beard, but I always did the hat. And oh man, I gotta find pictures. I'll post it in our stories. Elizabeth, I'm also excited. Speaking of posting things on our stories and whatnot, some of our audience reached out with some one costume to rule them all for Pirates of the Caribbean, and there was quite a few of them. They were actually, you could tell the Pirates'
People
love is universal. Yeah. So let's go through them, and this is all from Instagram. So at Leia Aurora, our friend Natalie said that her one costume rule them all was Elizabeth's Rum Island shift.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one. I didn't even think of it as a one costume rule them all until I watched it this time. It's fun. Victoria De Palma said Elizabeth Swann's dress from when she had to eat dinner with Barbossa.
I almost chose that.
A Jedi Manda said nothing can beat the OG Captain Jack Sparrow. So you two are aligned. Which I get. I mean, honestly, Jack Sparrow is one of the most iconic characters of all time. It's just, he just is. And then people start to get into their grievances about the film. Let's see. Marissa AI Design said, still wish James Norrington was the second male lead because fire emoji. James Norrington has some love in the comments here.
I will agree with her come the second film.
The same. Yeah. Once we get into number 2.
Once he's got that wig off, he's in all of them. Yeah. Well, no, he's in the first 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, does he die?
I don't know. I want to say I think he kicks the bucket in the 3rd one. And I think it's kind of sad, actually, lot of people right?
I think it is. I think he saved somebody. Does he save Jack?
Oh my gosh. I think I trauma blocked into this moment. Thanks a lot, Marissa AI Design, for bringing back my James Norrington trauma. Robert JC Pugh said, gotta be Elizabeth's party dress from the beginning. So iconic, referring to the corset over the edge moment, which I get it. Oh, and then when Jack rips the corset off.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that whole scene where she falls over and you see her plummeting through the ocean, the way the fabric goes. Oh, yeah. And then his response, he's not going to save her till nobody else will. Like, you going to save her? I got to do it. Okay.
And to mention, Jack Sparrow clearly knows how to, take a corset or 2 off, it seems like, because he knew exactly what the problem was and how to fix it. So, so like Neuters on Instagram said Pirate King Elizabeth from World's End. So now we're getting into, they're just saying us all their one costumes rule them all from the Pirates franchise, which I'm pretty confident if we were watching at World's End, that would be Elizabeth's one costume that rule them all also. Pirate King Elizabeth
There's a lot
Swann.
of good ones in that movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like mine would still have to be one of the council members. But and then someone mentioned Cambria 3218. Their one costume rule them all was Blackbeard from the 4th movie. So I gotta go back and rewatch that one because it doesn't. I remember him looking cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember the costume too much. But they also mentioned that the younger brother was on the camera crew for Pirates of the Caribbean. Could you imagine working on Pirates of the Caribbean and how that would be all over my dating profile?
Of course it would be.
That's all it would be. It would just be pictures of me like doing like the peace sign or the duck face on like the set. It'd be like me and my best friend, and it'd be like Barbossa like calling management on me. Elizabeth, this was such a fun episode, and if everyone else agreed, if they have their one costume rule them alls to share with us, don't forget to leave us a voicemail at 626-515-1826 or email us at theartofcostume@gmail.com. I'd be happy to read your comments on a podcast in our next episode. Elizabeth, next week we are continuing Hot Girl Summer, but we are watching a show that you actually quite love and have been begging me to watch for such a long time.
Yes.
And next episode, we're finally doing it. What are we watching?
Spencer, I am so excited. We will be watching Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
For hot girls of any age.
Yeah. It's such a fun season. So I've only seen season 3, but I'll go back and I'll watch seasons 1 and 2 for you.
It has one of your favorite people in it.
That has a lot of my favorite people in it.
It does have a lot of your favorite people in it.
This show is chocked full of the most excellent cameos. And Elizabeth, we're not going to be doing this alone. We're going to be having a special guest on for an interview about season 3. None other than costume designer Dana Covarrubias will be talking to us.
I cannot wait to hear your conversation with her. I'm so excited.
It was a fun one. We already did that interview. Elizabeth sent in all of her questions and we get all of those questions answered. So it's going to be a lot of fun. In the meantime, don't forget to check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/theartofcostume. It's picking up over there. So be a part of the beginning founders of our YouTube. It would mean a lot. Follow us on Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod, TikTok at The Art of Costume. It is way too damn hot. You probably need a t-shirt. So hit up our merch store at theartofcostume.com/podstore. And as always, leave us a 5-star text review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Elizabeth, we got quite a few reviews since the last time you and I talked. And I plan on reading them in our next episode. So it's not too late to get those reviews in so we can read them.
I can't wait. Everybody, have a fantastic week and stay cool out in the high seas.
Stay cool. Try not to play with any like questionable gold and big chest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to be aware of that.
No matter how tempting.
The Art of Costume podcast is hosted and produced by Elizabeth Joy Glass and Spencer Williams. Our audio engineering and editing is done by Dan White. Follow us on TikTok at The Art of Costume and Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod. If you want to support the show, go to theartofcostume.com/podstore. For more podcast updates, costume reviews, deep dives, and interviews, go to theartofcostume.com, a blog dedicated to highlighting the best in costume design.